Hey everyone, I'm Jacob. I'm a machine learning engineer and developer evangelist at Voxel 51, and today we're going to be talking about the AI Art Gallery plugin. So for those of you who don't know, 51 plugins are an extensible framework that allows you to customize your experience in 51 for your workflows. And one of the things that I love doing, and one of the first things that came to my mind when I thought about plugins, was the fact that I love making AI generated artwork. You can call it artwork. It may be just, cool things that you have come across. You put in a prompt and you really love it, and then you have to download it. And where do you put all of these images at the end of the day? Well, now you can actually do all of that within your 51 app and create a data set and add images to them in real time without needing to go through the hassle of downloading and managing where these things are. So right now we are looking at the DALL-E 2 page. So as an example, if we were just to use DALL-E 2 the traditional way, we could type something like this prompt it has here, like an impressionist painting of a flower vase. We could do that, and then we would wait for it to generate, and now it's going to generate a few examples for us. We're waiting. Okay, do we like them? We can look at them. Here's one. If we like it, we can hit download, but then what do we do with it when it's downloaded? We have to figure out where we're going to put all of these things, and somehow we need to curate them, and we don't even know at this point where it came from. Like, the information about which model was used to generate it is kind of lost, and we'd have to manually keep track of that. Well, the 51 plugin, the AI Art Gallery plugin, which is right here, and you can download it by going to the Jacob Marks/AI Art Gallery GitHub repo, and or you can just use the 51 plugins download and pass in that GitHub repo's name. You are then able to do all of this through the app, and not just for DALL-E 2, but also for other text-to-image models. So you could also use any of the text-to-image models here, and a bunch of them are already supported. So this is Replicate. It serves and allows you to, via an API, get the results of a lot of these very computationally intensive models. So you can use Stable Diffusion, or you could use, for instance, feed-forward VQGAN clip. So let's show you what this looks like. And just for reference, as an example, I looked at this list of 30 of the top AI art generation prompts. So this is a Microsoft list, but that doesn't matter. We'll just pick out some fun prompts and use them. So what we can do is we can start up a Python session. So just Python, and then we'll import 51. And then we can launch a session of the 51 app. And for this, we're going to be generating these images for a data set that is built from scratch. So let's create a data set. Data set is equal to fo.dataset. So this is an empty data set right here. And now let's create a session with this data set, or session is equal to launch app data set. But you could also do this for data sets that already exist and have images in them. And it would just add the image directly to that data set within the directory that data set has its images listed in. So now we could use this AI art generation. So if you see, the actual operator is called text to image because it generates images from text, but it's an AI art gallery plugin. So here it's giving us a warning that because we don't have any images in this data set so far, it's going to be storing these things in the temp directory. If we had a data set that already existed with images in it, then it would pick out the first image in that data set. It would use the directory that image is in order to basically download and put the images in that we are generating. So you can see how easy it is here to just choose your model. So as we choose our model, we can choose it from this little selector here. We can either choose Stable Diffusion or VQGAN clip, and those are through Replicate, or we can use DALL-E 2. And as we choose this model, we can choose the hyperparameters are then made available to us. So let's say we wanted to use DALL-E 2, and we can choose the size here. So we want to generate, let's say, a 512 by 512 one, and let's do the same prompt that we put in earlier, of a flower vase. All right. And now it's going to call the OpenAI API, use this to run the DALL-E 2 model, and add this directly to our data set. And voila, we have an image in our data set. But we actually have more than that. We also have the model that was used to generate this. So here we have DALL-E. And we also have the prompt, which we're storing. And we have the date that it was created. So all of this information, plus even the config. So we have the size that was used when generating this 512 by 512. And depending on which model we used, the config will actually be different. So just as an example, let's do the exact same prompt, but with stable diffusion. And we can choose the number of inference steps. So let's set it down to 40. We can choose our scheduler. We can choose the width and the height. We'll do the same width and height as we just did for DALL-E 2. And let's do the same thing. Impressionist. All right. We'll go back and do an impressionist painting of a flower vase. All right. Now this is going to be using stable diffusion. So it's calling the replicate API. And it's going to add this to the data set. And that would be this one right here. And how do we know this? Well, we could actually go through and look at the prompt is the same, but the model is going to be different here. So we could filter for just images that were generated by specific models. We could also filter by prompt when we have multiple prompts. We can look at the date created. So here, let me do this. Now we can kind of filter for things created in a certain time frame. And all this is also able to be done via the Python software development kit. So everything you can do in the app and more can be done in the Python software development kit. Okay, let's reset this. And now let's just use one of the prompts that we had from this list. So I like this one. Let's take this one right here. And let's use stable diffusion again. But this time let's do something that's wider than it is tall. So let's do this right here. Let's do 65 inference steps. And we'll execute. All right. That's pretty cool. And of course, the person's face is not great, but at that point we would use potentially another model to brush up the person's face. But the panorama, the landscape is pretty cool. We could also use a higher resolution setting for this. But let's say we don't like this. Well, if we don't like it, then we can just use the delete sample. So let's delete selected samples. And if we want, we can show them just to make sure we're clicking the right ones. And when we click this, we can delete it from the data set. Now let's try again. Let's say, okay, we didn't like that one, but what about this? So now let's do AI art gallery, and let's do 768. We'll choose this right here. We'll do a realistic painting. Okay, all right, we've got our original ones. And now we've got this realistic painting, and I like that. That's cool. I'm gonna keep that. And now we can even filter by the prompt. So we can just look at this prompt, or we can just look at this prompt, and this will update as we go. So this is the easiest way for you to manage and curate your own AI art gallery. You can use any of these built-in models. You can also extend this to support whatever models are accessible via any API or can be run locally. If you have these models locally, you can configure this to run them with Python. And you can really take this and run with it and go however you'd want. So you can add these things to existing data sets. Let's see, let's do that right here. So I've got 25 images from the Cocoa validation split, and let's add another image to this. So let's say I like the prompt that I just did, or let's do this one. This is a nice prompt right here. And let's say we want a tall one, and let's do it. Awesome. And now we have this image, which got added to our data set. And if you can see, it is now in the same directory as these Cocoa validation images right here. So again, this is super flexible. It just facilitates the process of kind of managing and finding and keeping the images that you like and keeping the metadata around them so that you don't have to go and track that down or manually keep track of that. So I really hope that this is helpful to you, and this is extensible. You can extend it to whatever models you'd like, but out of the box, you got Stable Diffusion, you got DALL-E 2, you got VQGAN, Feed-Forward Clip, and I hope that you enjoy. Stay tuned for our upcoming 10 weeks of plugins, and a lot more great content around FiftyOne plugins. Thanks so much.